In the world of corporate AI, there's this silent killer of innovation. We're going to talk about why it's time to kill that document for good. In the world of corporate AI, there's this silent killer of innovation. It's that beautiful, super comprehensive 50-page strategy document that, well, it goes absolutely nowhere. In this explainer, we're going to talk about why it's time to kill that document for good. It's a question that's probably frustrating you and leaders everywhere, right? You've had all the meetings, you've seen the slick presentations. The ambition is definitely there. But the actual action? So often, it's just stalled out, completely locked away in a slide deck. And here it is. Here's the culprit. We've all been trained to believe that before you start something huge and expensive, you need the perfect plan. A detailed roadmap that accounts for every single variable. And look, it feels like the responsible thing to do. But what if that's the big twist? What if that hunt for certainty, that instinct that feels so responsible, is the very thing causing the paralysis? We're about to dig into a pretty radical idea. In the world of AI, strategy isn't planned in a document. It's discovered through action. Okay, this number right here, this should be a massive wake-up call. A recent study found that only 12% of German companies have actually rolled out an AI application. That's not a failure of ambition. Not at all. It's a failure of execution. A huge gap between the strategy on paper and the reality out in the market. So let's really diagnose the problem. Why do our traditional ways of planning lead us right into this trap when it comes to AI? Well, the core issue is a total mismatch of methods. We're trying to manage AI projects the same way we build a bridge, with fixed requirements, predictable timelines. But AI is a completely different beast. It is inherently experimental. The requirements are always changing because, frankly, you often don't even know what's possible until you start building. Success isn't about being on time and on budget. It's all about what you learn along the way. And this mismatch, it creates incredible waste. Look at this. Studies of big companies consistently show that less than a quarter of a project's time is spent on actual value-adding work. The rest of it, a whopping 75%, is just waiting. Waiting for decisions, waiting for approvals, waiting for different departments to coordinate. We think our teams are slow, but the data tells a very different story. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Teams are rarely the bottleneck. The system almost always is. The problem isn't about making teams code faster. It's about fixing the entire organizational system that forces them to just sit around and wait. And that perfect 50-page plan, it just gums up the works even more. Okay, so if the big grand plan is the problem, what's the alternative? Well, it's a huge shift from planning to experimenting. A really powerful tool for this is something called the AI sprint. Think of it as an intense, super-focused, and time-limited session. The goal isn't to build a full product, but to answer one specific question or solve one specific problem. It's all about rapid, concentrated learning. And you can apply this sprint mentality with a super simple framework. First, start with a real business problem, not a technology looking for a home. Then, treat your plan for what it is, a hypothesis, not gospel. Frame it clearly. Something like, we believe we can cut customer support resolution time by 30% with this AI tool. Then, and this is key, give yourself a strict time limit, say 2 weeks to test it. At the end, the most important question isn't, did we build it, but what did we learn? The whole point of a sprint like this is to build what's called a minimum viable AI product, or an MVAP. It's the smallest, simplest thing you can possibly create to get real-world feedback and see if your big idea actually has legs. This completely de-risks the process, making sure you don't spend a year and a fortune building something nobody actually wants. This all leads to a really critical shift in our thinking. We have to completely redefine what success even looks like. Because in the age of AI, the winner isn't the company with the best plan. It's the company that learns the fastest. This really highlights a fundamental truth. Strategy is so often discovered, not designed from the start. Just look at these famous examples. Slack, it started out as a video game company. They discovered their internal chat tool was the real product. YouTube began as a video dating service. Can you believe that? They learned from their users and pivoted. Their strategies emerged from doing stuff, not from some document sitting in a folder. So this requires a radical change in what we measure. For years, we've been obsessed with metrics of activity. You know, things like velocity or number of tasks completed. But those metrics can be really misleading. They measure movement, not progress. The real question you should be asking is, how quickly is our organization reducing uncertainty by taking action? And this right here is the critical warning. AI is an accelerant. It can generate code and features and experiments faster than ever before. But if your organization is pointed in the wrong direction, AI is just going to help you get to the wrong place faster. It exposes the companies that are just busy versus the ones that are making real, meaningful progress. Which leads us to the final and maybe the most crucial piece of this whole puzzle. Figuring out where AI strategy truly belongs in an organization. Let's be perfectly clear on this. AI is not an IT project. It is a fundamental business transformation. The moment we treat it like a tech problem and just delegate it to the IT department, we've already lost. It has to be owned by the business, because it's about changing how the entire business operates and creates value. So who owns it? Well, it all starts with business leaders defining the actual problems AI is supposed to solve. Then you need a cross-functional team to oversee it, and its success absolutely must be tied directly to core business KPIs. Are we keeping more customers? Are we cutting our operational costs? That is the only scoreboard that matters. So we'll end with this question. In this new era, the race isn't to create the most perfect, comprehensive plan. The race is to learn. While you're busy polishing that 50-page deck, your competitors are already out in the market, running small experiments, learning from their customers, and discovering their real strategy. The only question left is, are you going to join them?